Oh, dearie me. Well, like, for anybody that's watching, I don't even think there is anybody watching at present, but just the stuff that I've been seeing. Oh, fuck me. Well, like, for anybody that's watching. That's better. The stuff that I've been seeing the last few days, it's destroying my soul, has to be said. I thought it was bad enough seeing the black guy plaster all over mainstream media, social media, the black and Scottish shit regarding Doctor Who. Now I don't really care that they've got a black Doctor Who because I don't watch Doctor Who, right? The thing that's kind of irritated me about it is the fact that they keep calling him Scottish, and that's pissing me off relentlessly. But then I thought things couldn't get any worse than that, and lo and behold, they fundamentally got a lot worse. I mean, I shared the document earlier on of what I was reading earlier from Scottish Government for Thin Lips, who might add, has now, after easing the squeeze, everybody eased the squeeze and everybody voted for Thin Lips. She's going to save you from the cost of living crisis, right? And then she's just gone and fucked off to America, taxpayers' money. So, that's good, isn't it? So everybody's eased the squeeze. It's fine. She's just going to fuck off for a wee while, and it's what she's going over to America for, which I just find wow. As I said, there's just a few things that have irritated me. Don't really know where I'm going with these streams. I never know where I'm going when I do these random streams. I've got a of tabs open. They're not even in order. I just feel like I want to fucking pour, iron into my eyeballs. I've had enough. But can't you go to Hollywood? No, it's just she's going to see Papa Biden, presumably, and they're going to talk about easy to squeeze, Oh, fucking hell, honest to God. But see, even on Twitter, you've got to see some of the shit on Twitter. It's like the black and Scottish. It's made a revival. I made a video on this black and Scottish shit. Fucking 2020. This one here, Graham Campbell. That's where I first seen, Mr. Uncle Ben. Graham Campbell. No, Jeff Palmer. He's in that, right? But it's made a revival because they took it off the iPlayer. But it's back now. But along with it, it's come the hashtags. And oh my God. Some of them are bad, like. I love this funny. So I was scrolling through them earlier on, and there's this hot take here from this one. This is this one's a better. So this bird here. I'm not going to go through all these tweets, obviously, but just to give you an example, this bird here says that because I'm tired of racists acting like we don't matter here, I've started to see these black and Scottish. Of course we matter. If we're not in the public eye, too, but I wanted to share some black Scots we need to stand. Okay. And who do you think it is? Oh, come on. Oh, where did it go, man? Fuck. No, there she is. Huh? It's the Rwandan. You can't even pick a Scot that was like born here, a black that was born here. No, you have to pick the Rwandan. Yeah, you have to have a great start with your series. But fucking. But aye. So anyway, I think I should probably just stick to the stories and stuff. Like I'm not going to divulge too far into the black and Scottish Doctor Who. I really couldn't give a shit. It's just that they really need to drop the Scottish routine. He's not Scottish, and it's bad enough he's doing it. It's bad enough that you've got these beams on Twitter and whatnot doing it. To have the likes of Angus Robertson and whatnot doing it. That you're taking the piss, like you know what I mean. As far as I'm concerned, stop fucking calling him Scottish. He's literally he wasn't even born here. I mean, they don't even give him the justification to the Civnat argument where like, oh, if we're born here, the Scottish type of thing. No. They're going a step further than that. But the guy wasn't even fucking born here, but somehow he's magically Scottish. It's ridiculous. They keep like, oh, this is great. This is great news for the Scots. There's finally going to be another Scottish talk. You're not fucking Scottish. Don't fucking call him that. You know what I mean? But aye, Jesus Christ. So that's really been irritating me. But things got a lot worse. Obviously, with Thin Lips and what she's been up to before she decided to fuck off in our taxpayer-funded CO2 emitting plane. She's that concerned about the climate crisis, quote quote. We didn't stop her pissing off on a plane. I'm just trying to find the actual tabs because, as I say, it's not even in order in the slightest. Should probably start around about this. The bragging routine started just after the elections were won, of course. And here she is here with a Stig of the Dump from Glasgow, bragging about winning. I need to figure out if people can hear the audio, though. Oh, That's my aunties and stuff. Now you just wait a minute, love. Where's my? I don't even know where the tab is. I don't know. Jesus, I'm off to a great start. Can you hear me, Ali? Like the audio, or do I have to fucking piss about with that? I don't know if you can hear it. I don't know. Like, see when you share the screen. Right, sound. Like I meant, you could hear the video though, not me talking. You could hear the thin lips, aye. Because if you can't, that's sound. But yes, I don't know. I think. Sorry. No, I'm not pissing about around. But right, sound though. Where is it? Where's she going? There she is. Right, let's get fucking after it. Like, give you a bit of backstory before we get into the nitty gritty of what she's calling him down. She's a fucking thin lip embarrassment. And we're just talking about that daft haircut and all.
We won the election, and we won the election by a country mile. I think it's the 8th consecutive election win under my leadership of the SNP, all after 15 years in government. So it is a stupendous result for the SNP and sends the clearest possible message to Boris Johnson and the Tories.
Labour say that they have a result in Glasgow given their improvement. Labour are off the canvas in this election,
Well, from what I gather, the SNP is still the largest party in Glasgow. We have, under the brilliant leadership of Susan Aiken,
brilliant leadership
of Glasgow with more seats and more votes. The latest tally I've seen. And Labour through the kitchen sink at Glasgow. They have benefited hugely from the massive collapse in the Tory vote, and yet they still can't defeat the SNP. So I think there's some reflection perhaps needed on Labour's behalf there. Look, I understand Labour will see moving back into second place in Scotland as a bright spot. They haven't had many of those in recent years, but they're still, I think some 12, 13 percentage points behind the SNP.
All this every time she does this, and she kept repeating the same. I was tempted to make a compilation on it earlier on in the week, but then I thought about it again. I was like, I can't bear it, because people seem to have this notion that she's actually a very good talker, very talented talker. She's actually not really, because she says the exact same thing in several tabs that I've got open, and I'm not playing them all. Like, near enough the exact same thing about the Labour Party. They threw the kitchen sink at Glasgow. It's the same routine in each and every speech. So I wouldn't necessarily say that she's talented in any capacity. I'd just say that she rehearses scripts. It's as simple as that. Which kind of plays into the idea that I've tried to tell to people for the longest time. She's no different to any of these other politicians. Despite the fact she's a dickhead, she's also just a puppet, which we'll come on to see in due course. But here's her again here.
Confidence in the leadership the SNP provides in Scotland at national level and at local level across many parts of the country. So if they emerge as the largest party today in Northern Ireland, which looks very likely, that will be an extraordinary result and something that would have seemed impossible not that long ago. And obviously the factors in Northern Ireland are different to the factors in Scotland, and it's really important not to make lazy read across there. But there's no doubt there are big fundamental questions being asked of the UK as a political entity right now. They're being asked here in Scotland, they're being asked in Northern Ireland, they're being asked in Wales. And I think we're going to see some fundamental changes to UK governance in the years to come. And I'm certain one of those changes is going to be Scottish independence.
The independence routine. Again, something else I'm going to come on to, because it's quite fascinating watching how she's desperate. She's fucking desperate at this point to conflate the two issues, because they're not the independence and EU membership. It's two separate issues. Nicola Thinlips wants you to believe that they're not. They're one and the same. But where's the other one? It might be on her Twitter actually. She's talking about the tranny. Fucking transgender. This one, no, that's Boris Johnson. There's the referendum one. I might as well just play that.
Exactly a year ago today, having won the Scottish Parliament election, being re-elected as First Minister, I won the mandate for an independence referendum there. Preparations for that are underway. But absolutely, it's pleasing that the SNP, Independent Supporting Party, and the Greens, Independent Supporting Party, are the two big winners from this election, both increasing our share of the vote. Actually, I think in Glasgow and countrywide, the Greens have probably been more to be pleased about than Labour has. But I didn't argue in this campaign that it was all about independence. I'm not going to try and pretend after we won it that it was all about independence. The mandate is there, and I look forward to taking that.
We've heard it all before. Is it this one though? Where is it? Oh yeah, the Charlie one.
My own party, obviously, Rosa, she came here as an asylum seeker, and today she's an elected councillor in the city of Glasgow. She's also a brilliant young woman who will go far, and I don't mind admitting I shed a few tears when I heard her result. But female representation for the first time in the Western Isles. In the city of Glasgow, in my own constituency, the first trans woman, bittersweet for me because it was at the expense of somebody in the SNP that I'm very close to, a good friend of mine. But I think she'll be a great councillor, and so lots and lots of firsts. I think the diverting. I know in my own party, lots of BAME candidates elected, which is
selected's probably the more operable word, though. Just because there's nothing set in stone in terms of black and white to prove that's the fact. It's pretty obvious that the SNP put measures in place to deliberately increase their BAME representation across the candidacy. So don't try and feign ignorance, but nonetheless.
Generally to get genuine diversity, but we need to study the results overall. I get the feeling we've made quite a good step forward in that today.
Yeah. Anyway, so this is where it gets ridiculous. So naturally, after celebrating the Ease the Squeeze campaign, right? A couple of days later, it's announced that she's planning a trip over to the USA. Okay, and it's to promote Scotland's global aims ahead of India F2. And quite a lot of the articles that came out around about the same time, they mention India F2. Some don't, some do. Right? It's not really about India F2, despite what this headline here says. But it says here that she's Nicola Thinlips is to visit the United States next week as she promotes her government's thinking on international affairs ahead of her planned independence referendum. An independence referendum that she's already been told she's not going to get, so just no point talking about it again. The First Minister will meet business leaders and politicians to underline Scotland's key interests in global issues. Critics have accused her of using public money to grandstand about separation and neglecting domestic problems to take the SNP's obsession on tour. Right? Oh, God. The government's today published a global affairs framework. And see, when I read that, I'd never heard of it. I just clicked on it by happenstance after that. So I wonder what this is. Oh my fucking God, by the way. What the fuck is... I mean, the SNP or Thinlips, whoever wrote it, they've said some things in their time to embarrass this nation, to embarrass me personally, to make me ashamed to be Scottish half the time these days, especially when anybody can be Scottish, including the BAME Doctor Who. But this is just fucking... I don't know. I don't know what to say. You get the idea here, where she says... this framework setting out the values, principles, and priorities behind its work to become more active internationally. So here she is again, alluding to this notion of us all, on the global stage, playing our part, etc., etc. Essentially, spread your cheeks, Scotland. The bureaucrats are coming in. But it says Scotland will focus on global citizenship. Oh, well, that's great. That's fantastic. Maintaining close relations with the EU. Gender equality, so more feminist shit, because, we always need the feminism. We can't survive without feminism. We have to do that to justify her existence and her daft haircut. And respect for human rights, which is United Nations laws, because she just loves to have laws put in place that supersede her own, because fundamentally, this woman, that party, despite the incessant calls from the mainstream media to refer to them as nationalists, are hell-bent on having the country essentially being a fucking doormat for globalism, for lack of a better term. I don't really know what the hell you would call it at this point, but it sure as fuck ain't nationalism, and it sure as fuck is not sovereignty or independence. The principles of the global affairs framework will apply regardless of Scotland's constitutional position, but clearly the contribution that Scotland could make and the benefits it could receive. What benefits could it receive exactly? What would be significantly enhanced with the powers of quote-unquote independence rather than devolution. And the government's prospectus for enhanced international relations as an independent state will be published in the run-up to the independence referendum. Now, there's the cop-out, the backpedaling coming into effect, because that's essentially saying that they're not actually going to provide any of the quote-unquote papers until such a time as this referendum is set in stone. So Boris Johnson's already told her to go fuck herself, essentially, so you ain't going to see any of these papers. So another lark. Anyway, it also states that independent Scotland would return to the EU, but it does not say if this would be done through a second EU referendum. I wonder why it doesn't say that. Oh, could it be because Nicola Thinlips herself is already on record as saying in the past, many occasions, that she doesn't want a second referendum. She wants it to be treated as a double referendum. So the Finland baboon will stand in and talk about democracy for the cows come home, and how it's been denied in Scotland. We're so hard done by, right? but when the chips are down, if she had her way and a hypothetical referendum came to pass and the independence won, she would be treating that fundamentally as a double referendum. That's not fucking democracy at all. That's a binary choice that the SNP are providing towards you. So all this shit about they try to palm people off with about it being about Scotland's choice, the people of Scotland's choice, it's a load of shite. It's an absolute load of shite. It says here that Finlips, who said she wants a second vote on the UK membership by 2024, said last April that it was not her policy to have another vote on returning to the EU. Instead, she said that an independent Scotland would automatically apply for membership of the 27-member state bloc, right, to escape from Brexit. You know what I mean? Fuck off, like. No chance. Anyway, that's here nor there. Where was my... oh, there's it there. So, that's a different article. Fuck, man, I really should organise. So here's it here. I mean, this is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous. So just you got to bear in mind here that they spent the best part of the last month using that squeeze. It's all about the cost of living crisis and all this shit. She gets, she wins again. Surprise, surprise. It's not like anybody's really shocked by that outcome. But the first thing she fucking does after celebrating with the land whale, Susan Aitken and whatnot, and repeating the same script regarding an Asarwa throwing kitchen sinks at Glasgow's council, she then announces that she's fucking off to the United States of America to gallivant around the place to preach to the choir about the crap that's included within this horrible document, right? She drops this bombshell. What the fuck's this? And it's beyond cringe. It's like a combination of everything that's wrong with the SNP and the epitome of cringe. Scotland's global affairs framework. Well, who gives a fuck about what's happening globally? Should we not be more concerned about what's happening locally? In other words, the whole point of local elections and whatnot. But no, not Nicola Thinlips. You even get a wee small idea of what this is going to include here as even this small little segment where it says the approach, Scotland's international contribution, right? The approach, and it's very concise. There's only 7 sections, a 13-page document, right? And it says good global citizenship, so we're off to a great start. Maintaining the closest possible relationship with the EU, gender equality, the climate crisis, and not just the climate crisis, but climate justice. For fuck's sake, human rights, respect for human rights, the role of our international network, and then Scotland's culture. And believe you me, when they refer to Scotland's culture, it's not what you would expect. No, those days are long gone, since this is a feminist shithole nowadays. But anyway, so when I read this, I was like, what the fuck is this? What is this? You can't just drop that bombshell and fuck off on a plane. No wonder you buggered off. You know what I mean? So, I mean, it's straight away, though. Straight away. Most people's eye line will go straight to the left-hand side. No, not me, because I'm a Mongo. I went straight to the right-hand side because something stuck out to me like a sore thumb. Something that I've repeated to all, blue in the face on my YouTube channel over the years. And what do you see straight away? The government's domestic priorities are rooted in Scotland's national outcomes and the National Performance Framework. These aims to give effect in Scotland to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. It's all this talk of it being a conspiracy theory, but there it is again, yet again in black and white, because that's what it's fundamentally all about, is it not? It's all about implementing these goals and ensuring it's done in time. And through its international work, the government aims to contribute to the achievement of these goals at both the national and global levels, like good global citizens. So all this shit, Nicola Thinlips being the fucking second coming of Jesus, her transgender sister or something along those lines, the illegitimate daughter of God, came down from the heavens above to save everybody in Scotland from the evil Tories, evil right-wing Brexiteers and whatnot. She's going to make your life easier by easing that squeeze for you. Just bear in mind that irrespective of whether or not you believe the stories that have led to the quote-unquote crises that we keep seeming to find ourselves in, she's taking advantage of them one way or the other. I would argue that she knows damn well it's all a load of shite, that being COVID and as well as the crap going on with Russia and the excuses that they're using regarding, putting up oil prices and whatnot. She knows damn well that that's done by design to ease us off it so we can move to our wind turbine revolution. It's plain sailing as far as I'm afraid. And for somebody that preaches to the choir about a climate crisis, etc., she didn't seem to have an issue fucking off to America in a CO2 emitting private plane, presumably. Even if it's just a normal commercial, still CO2 emitting. Why can't you do this over Zoom? Or is it because Joe Biden doesn't know how to work Zoom? Who fucking knows? Anyway, our vision is for our vision. Yeah, you mean your vision? You thin like fuck. Honest to God, like it gets worse and worse and worse. This is just abysmal. I mean, who the fuck voted for this? Like, I mean, seriously. Honestly, I would love to have a conversation with somebody that votes the SNP. You know, one of these fannies that thinks that, you know, everything's going to be hunky-dory when they get their independence. Look at the shit that they're doing. They get in every single time promising independence, or they talk up, they ramp up the momentum of an independence referendum. So everybody's, oh, yeah, the time is now type of thing. But then they do this shit. Fuck, like, our vision is to be a thriving, inclusive, and entrepreneurial country delivering a just transition to a net zero, all right, nature positive, well-being economy. Oh yeah. We're also determined that Scotland should be a good global citizen. Fucking what the fuck, man? Just determined to ruin my life, huh? Yeah, fuck's sake. So anyway, as we pursue our domestic objectives and address global challenges through our international work, we're able to draw on Scotland's global reputation, global connections, and global outlook. Right? It's getting good. We're getting into the nitty-gritty here. Right? The Global Affairs Framework sets out the values and principles underpinning the government's international work and the basis on which the Scottish Government will prioritise its international activity. Right? And then we're going to talk about nations and Ukraine a wee bit. Where is it here? Oh, yeah. Through our international work, we can support the creation of good green jobs. They've been talking about these good green jobs for some time now, but yet they still haven't appeared in reality yet. You talk a good game, boys, but good green jobs every election. Yeah, we're just going to be good green jobs everywhere. Still don't fucking see them, like, yeah. Considering you're flogging, what was it they did with the turbines out there recently? The Turkey, or am I thinking of the ships? They did something with turbines, though. Some other nation builds our fucking turbines. Anyway, a good green job, Mars. Reduce child poverty, gender, and other inequalities at home and overseas, and share Scotland's experience in policy making while learning ourselves from others. In this way, we can make a contribution to the world that is welcome and valued. I mean, this is borderline homosexual. Like, there's no other way to describe this girly rhetoric. You know, the bold and brave, progressive, empowered woman feminism. And this is what you get. Absolute guff that I would expect from a boy that's questioning his sexuality that he's in school or something. It's a fucking embarrassment. It's an absolute embarrassment. See, I couldn't stand in Parliament and read this shit out as a man. Angus Robertson does it all the time, and I'm half convinced that he's popping Viagra while he's doing it. You know what I mean? The way that he talks about the European Union is fucking borderline weird. But even reading that aloud makes me feel weird. It makes me uncomfortable. It's just not normal. This is taking like wet wipery to whole new levels here. Like, and then it's not just a case of it being buzzwords, because fundamentally this is some framework that they're going to base their international revolution on, apparently. In the face of the UK government's disastrous and chaotic Brexit, of course, you had nothing to do with that, of course. Let's not forget 2019, driving about the same bus, of course, the CO2 emitting bus, which was a climate crisis, face plastered on the side of it. But this time around, instead of ease the squeeze shite, it said stop Brexit on it. It's not like the SNP were angels during that time period. No. Which were rejected by an overwhelming majority in Scotland. The government will remain committed to the EU and its values and to internationalism. Internationalism, that's what I like to hear about. Fucking nationalism's dead and gone. Who wants nationalism? Who wants to advocate for your own people when we can just open our borders and we can give our sovereignty away to like the bureaucrats, And as I said, just spread your cheeks wide because the bureaucrats are coming in for landing. Like, we will continue to work with our fellow Europeans and friends. Oh, our friends. Oh, fucking what is this? Like, our friends, eh? Oh, yeah. Freaking Jesus, man. Deepen our ties. I mean, that's an interesting turn of phrase. Deepen our ties, right? And improve our global networks, and unlock new economic and business opportunities. I want good green jobs, eh? Yeah, okay. What else have we got here? And we will continue to prioritise international development and climate justice. Fucking climate justice. See, if you do a bit of digging into what climate justice really entails, there's quite a lot of these BAMEs that are seeing this as a form of reparations. Like during all the climate shit that was going on in COP, there was the big march, Greta and whatnot, standing on stage, giving it what's for. There were all the BAMEs that were there, wanting migrant justice. They called it migrant justice. Then you got the feminists calling it gender justice. Then you got social justice, climate justice. It's just nonsense. And it all boils down to the marginalised groups, or the marginalised countries even, They're just taking the same shit that they do with, feminism and anti-racism and whatnot, but they're just applying it on a global scale now. So all the countries around the world that did nothing to contribute to climate change, they're all not on white countries, by the way. So all the white guys, all the white countries, they have to accelerate their changes first. They have to go first, and while they're doing this, they have to implement policies that are akin to climate justice. So that boils down to, weakening our nations completely, and redistributing our power and wealth. Yes, that's what it's about. But that's fine because it's going to save the planet, apparently. Oh, but they've already got that one covered too, because apparently we've entered a phase now where even if we all did everything that was asked of us right now, we wouldn't be able to reverse the trends regarding the climate, right? We've gone too far now. It's too late, right? So we can't do anything to mitigate the problem. We can't do anything to reverse it. All we can do is hope to stop it getting any worse. Oh, so effectively what that's meaning in black and white terms is that all the shit that they wish to implement that's currently being implemented, it's forever. Not that anybody was under the impression it wouldn't be, but they've just kind of told you that now off the cuff. Like, anyway, it says a key part of Scotland's global contribution. This talk of the international community, and it's just reflecting our core. Fucking, what the fuck is this like? Our core values of fairness and equality. And then get this, right? And our recognition of the historical privileges we enjoy. Ah, yeah, that's right. Because they even managed to get a wee jibe in at some point during this about our past, because we were bad in the past. I'm surprised Jeff Palmer probably fucking wrote this. Who knows? I don't know who wrote it. I'm assuming it was Thin Lips or one of our admins anyway. Thin Lips doesn't write any on. But the principles of the global affairs framework will apply regardless of our constitution. I think I read that. The government's prospectus for enhanced international relations as an independent state will be published in the run-up to the referendum. The referendum you've been told you ain't getting, so whatever. Right, anyway. And then we've got the approach. We then again reiterate the sort of points throughout the rest of this document. Good global citizenship, of course, maintaining a relationship with the EU, feminism, climate justice and the climate crisis, human rights, or respect for it, Scotland's culture and a role or international networks. And then just more gay shit right there. It says that our international activity creates opportunities at home, broadens our horizons, attracts high quality investment, and ultimately benefits the people of Scotland. By being open, connected, and making a positive contribution, we give ourselves the greatest possible chance of building a successful country. We had a relatively successful country prior to the coup, but things change. Able to recover from the setbacks of Brexit and COVID, the COVID setbacks, quote, quote, every single setback, if you will, was deliberately contrived. But, let's pretend otherwise. And ensuring no one is left behind as we transition to a net zero economy. It's just so fucking tedious that they continue to use this bullshit about net zero economy from a climate, Such a scam, man. Such a fucking scam. As I said, if they're that concerned about the climate, then why is she fucking off to America to go and, preach to the choir about this crap here? Shouldn't they be doing things right now to ensure that it doesn't get any worse? Why do we need to wait to the next, COP for any meaningful change to take place? So they're quite content with waiting year on year. But what the fuck? Yeah, really concerned about the climate. What have we got? Where am I? Don't do this to me now. Like, good global citizenship. So obviously, I've made many a video on this global citizenship nonsense, especially when it comes to the way that it's taught to children. And you think it's bad enough when you hear adults talking about it, but the way that it's presented to children, it's in and of itself, it's a pretty heinous topic because there's a plethora of different topics that are included within it, including the normalization of fucking diversity, immigration. But fundamentally, it's kind of the larger picture is it's eradicating the national identity because anybody, we're all one, the human race, that type of shit. And we're all in this together, the good fight. So ordinarily in this hypothetical utopia that we're all going to live in, everybody can be Scottish and anybody can be Kenyan because, it's our world. We're all one. Global citizenship, And then also on the flip side, of course, it's internationalist nonsense, globalist shite, because it's the country is a citizen in and of itself, and we're all citizens alongside each other, playing our part. So it's twofold, but they kind of go after the children with the more heinous aspect of it. You just get the namby-pamby wet wipery when it comes to the politicians. Scotland acts on the international stage from a position of privilege. Here we go. Yes. Wow. For centuries, Scots have made a significant contribution to the world we know, but Scotland's legacy is not universally positive. We recognise, for example, our part in the historic injustices of the transatlantic slave trade Our on this though, yeah. So, and our contribution to global warming. Oh yeah. Oh, it would be so damning if it was true. Yeah, it really would. But it's a fundamental bullshit. So I don't know what to tell you. But it's a great little scam because they've managed to pinpoint all the blame for all the woes of the world at present on the white man, on our countries. It's all our fault. But yet they fabricated and manipulated all the data to prove that point. So I don't buy it. I don't know how anybody does, really. The position we now enjoy results in part from that historical legacy. Oh, yeah. The so-called nationalist SNP party, they're really, really selling that nationalist dream, are they not? Just shitting all over our history, shitting all over us every opportunity they get. Or trying to, at the very bare minimum, make us feel bad for BAMEs, etc. The position we now enjoy we are determined to acknowledge and learn from our past, including in the way our schools address Scotland's colonial history and through our approach to climate justice. Yeah. So, of course, that's alluding to, but they don't need to elaborate, but it's alluding to the anti-racist curriculum. Yeah. So, that's great. Again, did anybody really vote for that? Or was it all about easing that squeeze? Yeah, not that it matters at this point, but still it remains the same. Critical race theory coming to a Scottish school near you, thanks to that thin-lipped cunt. And that's what she is. They all are fucking nationalist marsh. Like, we will use the network and platforms available to encourage greater action and more ambitious commitments from government at all levels, particularly where success requires government at all levels to act. Recognising the impact of COVID and the ongoing global health inequality, as good global citizens, we will support measures to ensure vaccine equity. Oh my fucking god, vaccine equity, yeah. Oh well. I'm all in favour of that, like, on you go. We will also strive to ensure that Scotland's global environment footprint is sustainable. Oh yeah. And how do you really expect that to be achieved? When they talk about things like that, our carbon footprint has to be reduced, and we all have to live sustainable lifestyles, etc. How do you think they're going to be able to achieve that? It's going to have to come down to one or two things, or both. It's going to have to come down to total micromanagement, or B, surveillance. They're probably going to have to be both for the climate, of course. They would just ban you for no fucking reason. No, it's just in case you're doing too much and you're emitting too much carbon. You can't have that here in Rainbow Unicorn Labs. Can't have that at all. So you have to do things to ensure that the temperature never rises again. We will aim for policy coherence in our decisions that affect development. For example, as outlined in our vision for trade, continue to support fair trade to drive better trading conditions for marginalised producers. And everybody's marginalised. Every single person you can think of, every group, is marginalised except straight white men. So, it doesn't fucking matter. I hate that, though. They just automatically label every single person on the fucking planet as marginalised if they're not a white man. Yeah, that's feminism here in Rainbow Unicorn Land. That's the shit that permeates throughout the SNP. Every fucking time, it's the white men in that party. What the fuck is wrong with you people? I would have left the SNP. If I was a member of the SNP, I would have left it after 2014, after that referendum. And I went, oh, fuck this. Especially when Thin Lips took over. One of the first things she did was tell everybody that she was going to do all she could for fucking feminism. Right, that's me, I'm out. And they stood by her. What are they doing? They must have raisin balls. Oh no. That's a good goal. This is so gay, man. Fuck's sake. Like, that just was as a good global guardian. As a good global citizen, it's just so game. It sounds like a fucking parody. Not a very good one, eh? Fucking good global citizen, man. Oh, fuck's sake. The government commits to listen and act in response to the often unheard voices. I wonder who the unheard voices are. Oh, especially those of women and young people from the global south. The women, of course. It's women and young people. Just exclude men because they're men. So even the brown men in the global south, they're not getting treated very fairly here, are they? Oh, intersectionality, isn't it beautiful? We will inform our policies and encourage us to their perspectives will inform our policies and encourage us to challenge others where appropriate in order to achieve fairer outcomes, because it's all about that fairness. All of them these days, social justice, equity, and fairness. But even that in and of itself, that you can quite easily see how that's going to end up being a fucking scam, because you're not exactly going to have one of these BAMEs from the global south, a BAME woman or a young BAME from the global south, vehemently opposing all the nonsense that the SNP or whomever it is espousing. Just the total opposite side of the argument. No, you're going to have activist types, the quote-unquote stakeholders that are, in and around the Scottish government. It's just a circle jerk. The same thing always applicable here. You're going to have people that preach from the same hymn sheet, irrespective of where they come from. It gives the illusion, that we're actually listening to these people. You're just parroting the same shit to each other. We will continue to. Sorry, we will take opportunities to learn from the experience of others and make distinctive contributions in addressing global challenges. Right? Okay. And climate crisis at the bottom. So where's the next one? Maintaining relationship with the EU. I don't really give a shit about that too much, but there was a wee bit in here that was a bit cringy, if I recall correctly. Where was it? Oh yeah. Oh, well, this bit straight off the bat. The fundamental values of the EU are Scotland is a nation with a strong European heritage, outlook, and values. European heritage. Yeah, that sounds like you're sort of hearkening to a white identity there. It's very bizarre. But anyway, the fundamental values of the EU are human dignity, freedom, democracy, equality, the rule of law, and respect for human rights. And they resonate in Scotland. Do they? They resonate in Scotland, apparently. Since fucking when? The SNP have got this annoying habit of speaking on behalf of everybody in the country. They base their really, really bent out of shape, very far left, queer hawkery policies and talking points and beliefs. They place them upon all of us as if we're all one. We're not fucking one. I feel uncomfortable reading this shit out. I don't fucking live by that. You know what I mean? I just want to be left alone. All things go back to the way they were when I was a fucking teenager. But this is just bizarre to me. It really is bizarre. That somebody can stand there straight-faced and unironically say that is the sort of shit that they believe in. That's their fundamental core values. Is that nonsense? Fuck's sake. Is that before or after Alan Smith bums you? Fuck's sake. Anyway, like many European countries, Scotland's population has been shaped by migration. Yeah, here we fucking go. It's been shaped by migration, which is total bullshit. Yes, there was I don't know how many off the cuff, but there was a wee influx of European immigration that came to Scotland around about the year 2000 to help with our aging population and our decline in births. But the same thing's happening again now. So it's not like they fundamentally shaped our population. And on top of that, of course, they still make up a minuscule amount of the population in comparison to the overwhelming white Scots, if you will, or British people in general. But so it hasn't been shaped by migration, but they seem to stick to that. And I don't know why. Is this to be inclusive to the Kenyans and whatnot? I don't know. EU citizens have enriched communities. Well, maybe one or two. I'm not saying that they ain't hard workers, but when you've got a whole street full of Pavels and Tamwars, I would maybe make the case that they start to become cliquey. They start to favourite their own, which is not an issue in and of itself. But they can do that in their own fucking country, as far as I'm concerned. I don't give a shit about enrichment. We've just at this point. I can't even bear listening to that nonsense. Enriching. How the fuck are they enriching? I mean, half of them work in the sort of job that any one of us could do. It's hardly enrichment, is it? What? Because they speak a different language. That's supposed to be celebrated. I mean, what the fuck? Like, sorry, but come on. You need to be a bit more blunt at this point in time because it's just daft. All these like commonly accepted turns of phrase. No, it's enriching. Why? How is it enriching to have Polish people here? No offense to the Polish. Like I'm just saying, how's it enriching? You know what I mean? My life wouldn't be any different if they weren't here. And then it says, they enrich the communities and local authority. And in recent decades, free movement within the EU has helped reverse population decline in Scotland. Well, it's not though, has it? Because it's on the fucking decline. And what are you doing about it? You're still promoting feminism. Good job, nationalist part of you. I understand that why they're still branded as nationalists. There's even dickheads on YouTube doing it. These sort of like Civ-natty types keep calling them nationalists, and I'm sitting there like, what the fuck's wrong with you? The fuck? Anyway, I mean, the worst part, they don't even call themselves nationalists. So if they don't, why do they? We will continue to uphold the values we share with the EU and to engage positively and proactively with the EU institutions, member states, and other European organisations on Scotland and the EU's policy priorities. For example, we will engage on climate action. Climate action. Mama Sturgeons here to save the day. Just stop driving your car, stop eating meat, and we'll save the planet. Aye, is that right? Is that before or after you fuck off to America in your CO2 emitting plane? I mean, fuck you. I mean, it's honest. Anyway, standing up for individuals' freedoms and for democratic processes, blah, blah, blah. As I said, this is kind of more of a boring one. Also, I don't care. Gender equality. Well. No smoke without fire as far as the SNP are concerned. It's good to know that our Our international prerogatives include feminism. Yeah, of course. Written by feminists, of course. Nah, no. Well, it said, any opportunity to shoehorn in their shit, they'll do it. I mean, Sturgeon, back at COP26, when she actually said climate change is a feminist issue. Oh, fucking hell. And it gets worse than that. Like, for that, like they were in the parliament today talking about this very thing that I'm covering now. And they were actually saying that Scotland's going to be one of the first countries in the world, but they'll be the first country in the UK to adopt a feminist. How did they word it? Foreign policy. That was it. A feminist foreign policy. And you know, it said such a plum because it's a great progressive, bold, and thing to do. It's fucking up, really. I mean, did we get a vote of that? Like, why do we have a feminist foreign policy? I mean, it's Papa, and we're gonna do, like, we're gonna stick it to Papa Putin and China and whatnot, with our feminist foreign policy. Oh yeah, oh Jesus, I bet they're quivering now. Fuck's sake. Oh, it's embarrassing, man. It's fucking embarrassing what's happening here. Oh. Anyway, so fucking feminist foreign policy. Oh, jeez. Global crises, threats such as disease, conflict, climate, create and exacerbate inequalities around the world. For example, COVID, aka our lockdowns and our rules, has worsened gender inequality, as women and girls are more likely to provide the majority of caregiving, while generally earning less and holding less secure jobs, which therefore impacts upon their economic independence. And it's all about economic independence for the woman here in Scotland these days. We're just after talking about declining birth rates. That's why we needed to import European people here. But fuck, it's all about economic independence these days. Good to know we've got our priorities in order. Economic independence. And again, they just assume that because women ain't in the jobs that, statistically speaking, they should be in to make the feminists happy, that they are unhappy by default with their lives. But some might be, but it's not up to the fucking government to change that. But fuck it. But we need to go further. We will review government policy and programs where they have an international dimension to ensure that they reflect the feminist approach to foreign policy. There you go again. Oh, yes. Isn't that something to look forward to? A feminist. Yeah. I'm straight. He's the squeeze, guys. Vote for me. He's the squeeze. Send the message to Boris Johnson. What's that message to lips? Feminist foreign policy. Fucking hell, me. Oh yes. Jesus. I really regret not voting for the SNP now. I wish I could have rubber stamped mine into that. I wish I could look back in 30 years' time and say to my hypothetical grandkids, you see that, DJ Junior? I voted for that. That's partly me. That was down to me, That's why your sister's wearing a hijab. Yeah. Oh fuck. Fuck's sake. To strong partnership between governments, universities, businesses, civil society, we can enable the more women and girls to lead on the solutions we need to address global challenges and promote gender equality. It's just like all the men, all the intelligent, big brain men in the world, they're all sat around desperate to try and come up with a remedy to stop the impending doom of the climate. And they're just totally stumped, and the door just bursts open, and in come the woman, thin lips and the fucking SNP feminists. They've got all the answers according to this paragraph, because for some strange reason, they can lead to the solutions, or they can lead in the solutions. What? Because they're women. Because they're fucking women. All right, okay. Jesus Christ. And then it says Scotland will contribute to gender equality by taking a feminist approach and empowering the women and girls. We're just going to continue doing what we've been doing for years anyway. This isn't exactly groundbreaking here, is it? Gender equality. It's not like they don't have equality. I would argue they've got fucking more rights than men at this point. Well, there. For example, we will develop our Women and Girls Empowerment Fund. Oh, more taxpayer money being pissed away on nonsense. Isn't that right? Ease the squeeze and all that shit. Ease the squeeze. Send Boris a message, right? And then they always say, like, point to 1 point of our budget where we could take money to help with the cost of living crisis. Our Women and Girls Empowerment Fund. That's a great fucking place to start, is it not? Again, who voted for that? Who the fuck voted for that? Fucking okay. Seriously. Oh, the fucking Jesus, man. Inequalities are most felt acutely by the marginalised. And who are the marginalised? Well, it's all the BAMEs, they didn't actually have it. There was no difference. Inequalities are felt most acutely, but that wasn't actually a fact because they weren't experienced acutely by the marginalised. It was only after they were labelled as marginalised by the S&P that somehow miraculously now they can confirm that is in fact true. Prior to their labelling, this wasn't a thing. So it's remarkable. Too often, women are excluded from having their say in resolving and addressing the challenges which affect them in society. Oh, wow. It's funny. They say the same. They do the same thing to the children, the little 6-year-old climatologists. They come away with this shit. So you could make the argument this is pretty childish. But however, our belief in the fundamental importance of universal human rights makes this unacceptable. Any nation which underuses the talent of half its population or half its oh fuck, here we go. Jesus Christ. Plenty of thick cancer population, including women and men. But anyway, any nation which underuses the talent of half its population or fails to uphold their rights impoverishes itself. Oh, where did you learn that hot take from? This has got to be Thidnup's writing this shit, surely. Or it might be that belly and Angus Robertson. You can never tell these days. Women's leadership is essential if global challenges are to be successfully addressed. Where are they culminating all the data to provide as evidence for these sort of fictitious claims? Is it just because they're women? That's what it is fundamentally, isn't it? Fuck, like, honestly, fucking feminism. There's never a dull moment with the feminism. So then they finish off here. The government's commitment to women and girls in our international engagement is already clear from our support for work, which highlights the importance of women's participation in promoting peace in conflict-affected areas. Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm not entirely sure that this pipe dream that they always talk about, where the what's it called? Foreign policy of the future will be the woman promoting peace everywhere. I'm not entirely sure it's worked there anywhere else. Okay, I'm not sure it's been tried and tested, but it's nice to talk about issue if you're a feminist twat. Our funding of the scholarship for women and girls in Pakistan sounds nice, of course, but the reason they're doing that is to reduce birth rates. That's why Bill Gates funds it himself. And so it's nice to know that the S&P are meddling to some degree. And they say our funding, so it's our fucking money again. Our money is being pumped into Pakistan to help them reduce their population under the guise of scholarships. Yeah, that's nice. Again, did you vote for that? Or were you too busy easing the squeeze? It's understandable if you were trying to ease the squeeze. Shouldn't that's what they talked about. But, it's just remarkable that the easing the squeeze process is now done and dusted. You got a period of respite and fundamental straight away, slap bang straight back into the shite. This chap. Where was the top? It's nonsense they're on it to the campaign. Was she getting off that bus? With her face plastered on the side. You go, hello, today we're going to talk about, and then she starts talking. No, she didn't, did she? No, she didn't. She kept this one quiet. She kept this little bombshell quiet. Fucking hell, man. Fuck. And then it says as well at the bottom, in the Scottish Government's leading role in the launch of the Glasgow Women Leadership Statement on Gender Equality and Climate Change. Oh, fucking hell. I remember that, actually. I think I included that in the first video I made when I came back. And I'm starting up. The more I read of this shit, the more I feel like I came back too soon. This is so destroying. Climate crisis and climate justice. Before I read it anymore, I've just got this overhanging bad feeling that I've been talking to myself for about 55 fucking minutes and my microphone's not working or something. So, I might as well go and see what the chat's saying, if there's anybody even watching. I don't know. I'll have a gander. I have gammered on for quite a while, it has to be said. Here we go. Sturgeon's mum is illegitimately up. It is pretty uncanny the way. It is uncanny. But I've been thinking about sturgeon, not like that, right? Fucking don't get any ideas. But I'm starting to wonder, because obviously the likes of Boris Johnson and whatnot, you can kind of find paper trails to link them back to the World Economic Forum, etc. But there's nothing out there for sturgeon. Nothing at all. I don't buy that, because how do you go from being some failed lawyer with a shit haircut to a failed politician in the S&P that nobody had ever heard of to ending up taking over after Alex Salmond, probably shagging him behind the scenes or side. But who knows? I reckon they were fucking shagging you, but who cares if they were or not? Allegedly, didn't sue me but fucking then all of a sudden, within a matter of months of her taking over the S&P after Alex Salmond, she's well in tune with all the globalist talking points, and they roll off the tongue as if she's always talked about them from a young age. Nah. like that. She's either been paid now by them or she's always been a member. I don't know. Yeah, she's a member of the Privy Council, but that's it's something I've never actually looked into in regards to what they actually do. I've had some people theorize to me that like you can never leave that, which would then kind of give credence to the idea that there's never going to be a second referendum. I don't know. I've never actually looked into that. She's not in the club. No, that's what I'm saying. There's nothing in black and white to suggest she's actually in the club. But the way that she acts and the things that she says and all the policies that she rubber stamps, she might as well be. It's just bizarre. Very bizarre. And if she's not actually part of the club and she's just going out of her way to impress to try and be part of the club, that in and of itself is fucking pathetic. You know what I mean? Oh, who else have we got here? Marie Kane. Don't know if I've already highlighted yours. Well, I've read your name wrong, though. I don't think I've seen you before, though. And we have Nari. Aye, how's it going, Gudgy? Oh, fucking hell, man. Easing the squeeze. All that talk, easing the squeeze. I just think that was remarkable. You know, the cost of living. In fact, there was talk of, I clipped that actually so I could show that. It was on Reporting Scotland just the other day, right? Wait till I get it. They're saying now, or potentially, that come October time, and this is obviously if nothing changes, which probably nothing will change, they're saying that by October time, when the energy prices go up again, that most people on just the average income, they're all going to be shoved into fuel poverty and whatnot. So it's obviously going to get worse and worse and worse. And then you got this feminist dickhead just, I'm just going to take some of your money and bag it off to America for a wee jolly. Like, where's the optics like? Where's the optics is all I'm saying. Where the fuck is it, man? Yeah, I'll get it. Recorded. There's it there. I'll share my screen again. Fuck's sake. Good stuff.
Parrott is warning everyone on an average salary in Scotland could be in fuel poverty next winter. CEO Keith Anderson has been speaking to the BBC with his suggestions on what could be done to tackle spiralling energy prices for households. Our Consumer Affairs correspondent Conor Gillis reports.
In Peebles, more families than ever before are struggling, more of a reliance on the food bank. But here at this unit, there are fewer donations and fewer people to help.
In the last couple of weeks, we've had a couple of mums who have come in to volunteer, have had to get jobs themselves for their own family's income, I think that's probably going to be something that's also going to be a drain on us, that more people have less capacity to volunteer. I don't know how we're going to manage, actually. I think it's a really worrying situation.
A worry in this Borders town, a worry all over. And with energy bills set to soar again in October, a rising number face paying more than 10% of their income on their gas, oil and electricity, known as fuel poverty.
So the average wage in Scotland is somewhere between £31,000 and £32,000. If you take off tax and national insurance, let's just say you're at £28,000, £29,000. If the energy price goes to £2,900, that means every person on an average salary in Scotland will be defined as being in fuel poverty. Okay, that is a horrific statistic, and that shows you this isn't an issue that's just affecting poor people.
And with that in mind, Keith Anderson says, given the gravity of the situation, a more robust response is required. So Scottish Power are suggesting taking £1,000 off the bills of those who are in fuel poverty at a cost of around £10 billion a year. And that, they say, would be repaid by adding £40 onto all bills over the next 10 years.
I want people to be reassured.
No, there he is, Mr. Potato Head.
It's not going to change between now and the autumn because we have an energy price cap. But what I've always said is once we have better clarity on what...
See no issue though, pumping like 500 million here and there to Ukraine every couple of days. Like, so don't harm me that shit.
In the autumn, then we'll be in a position to know what the right response is.
Back here in Peebles, some still feel far from protected from the economic pain as the unknown hangs in the air.
It's a fucking disgrace, eh? You know, especially where I'm off the firm belief it's completely manufactured, so that's what makes it fucking worse. You know what I mean? Absolute disgrace. And you got that thin-lipped dickhead on about easing the squeeze and whatnot. And as I say, the first thing she does is this shit. Yeah, it's just a joke, huh? Absolute joke. Where's it going? Well, no, don't do this to me. Like, see this, by the way. Look at this shit. Reporting, responding to teaching in a diverse Scotland. And it's just teacher after teacher after teacher from a mixed race background or just fully BAME complaining that when they were young in Scotland, nobody looked like them. Except it's fucking irritating me how they get to sit there and complain that there's too many white people. And they're, you know, when things are changing, things are on the up because things are becoming more and more BAME. So they hopefully get to sit there and, you know, celebrate to, you know, to some degree about the fact that more of their own kin are coming over here and there's less of us, less whites, because whiteness is the problem. It's fucking disgusting. Eh? And see this thing in the bottom right hand corner, Kajida Mohammed, with the boot with the googly eyes that I made videos on in the past. She's everywhere now. She's everywhere. You know? And she's half illiterate, and I'm not even talking about the fact she's foreign. Well, she was born here with a Scottish accent to a certain degree, but I mean, she can't even talk right. She's apparently an expert in critical race theory, apparently. But this is a disgrace. This shit. BAME after BAME after BAME after BAME. And what are they complaining about? Well, obviously, that's something else I was going to cover after I get through this crap, which is obviously that there's a new study that's come out to show that, you know, if things ain't changing fast enough, so BAMEs are still underrepresented in Scotland when it comes to teaching, because that's all they ever complain about. It's a fucking never-ending, you know, complaint session from these individuals. But anyway, climate justice, eh? Oh, Jesus Christ, man. It never ends. It never ends. Well, people are being shafted via manufactured crises. You know, the S&P, though. Yeah, they got the solutions. It's fine. And they're not the only one, but, you know, it's not other governments I have to be concerned about. It's our government. And fundamentally, they're using this, pretending that there's a crisis, but it's fine. We'll come out the other side of it with a more resilient climate resilient future. Oh, well, that's fine then. Just shaft everybody in the country and make cripple the already poor people within the country and make even more people poor. But it's fine because at the end of it all, we'll be climate resilient, whatever the fuck that means. Oh, fucking joke, like. Scotland's committed to leading by example, supporting an increase in international ambition and driving forward its vital work of this decisive decade. And why is it a decisive decade? Oh, yeah, that's right. Obviously, you know, 2020, you know, the start of it all, the CUF, you know, activate, plan, the agenda of the CUF. But very start of the year, though, there was the talk of the decade of action from the United Nations, as I said in my last stream, even though my mic went Mongol. You know, this was all about, that we had 10 years to accelerate the transformation of our society in order to reach 2030 targets. That's what they said. And lo and behold, now it's a quote, decisive decade. It's a decisive decade, apparently. In doing so, and why have we got till 2030 again? If there's a climate crisis, they should be doing everything in their power right now. Let's sort the planet out. Oh, it's fine. We got time. We got fucking time, apparently. You know, enough time for her to jolly over to America anyway. But But in doing so, this is what I love, though. You know, there's a climate crisis, you know, pending doom. Planet's going to burn to a cinder. We're all going to die. The polar bears are going to drown, etc. But if we do it right, though, we can put the values of good global citizenship, solidarity, fairness, and inclusion at the centre of our approach to the global climate crisis. Well, fuck me. All the climatologists that have wasted their lives studying away, if only they just considered to themselves when they were doing their studies and whatnot, that if they just decided to stop looking so much at data and graphs, as manipulated as they were, if they were from the United Nations, etc. If they just decided to maybe implement some solidarity and fairness within their mathematical equations, maybe things would be a lot more different today. Who knows? You know, we recognise that the climate crisis will not affect everyone equally, and the poorest countries and communities require climate justice. In recognition of this, we've committed to trebling our climate justice fund to 36 million over this parliamentary term. Again, that's more of our money. That's more of British taxpayers' money being pummeled into countries that they classify as countries that are more affected because of us. Right? So it's really wow. I don't know. And then there's the magical word again. Really, yeah. Marginalised. Yeah, of course. The fund will continue to support programs that pop resilience to climate change, tackle structural inequalities, and deliver positive outcomes against 3 pillars of climate justice: transformative, distributive, and procedural justice. Right? So just to reiterate that there, climate justice, three of the pillars of climate justice are transformative change, or transformative in and of itself, distributive and procedural justice. So there's quite a lot of different terms that you can slap on justice at the end of. It's a never-ending fucking debacle. Oh, Jesus. In line with our commitment to climate justice, we showed global leadership and our determination to acknowledge our share of the historic responsibility. Oh, my God. Oh, wow. They got us over the bar with this shit. The guilt trip. Well, we're to blame. They manipulate the data, make it look as if we're to blame, and now they get to justify destroying our society. We have to acknowledge our share of the historic responsibility for the climate crisis by being the first government in the world. So wait, we're talking just about Scotland here. All right, okay. By being the first government in the world to commit international funding for climate-induced loss and damage. We will work with like-minded governments, civil society, and other stakeholders to build action and long-term response to the consequences of the climate crisis that cannot now be tackled through adaptation or future mitigation. So we're the first country. What a shock. The list is endless for the amount of firsts that Sturgeon can safely say she put Scotland in line for. As well as unequal impacts of climate change, we recognise that not everyone has an equal voice. So, fucking God, here we go again. We are committed to using our position to champion and raise the voices of women, young people, and people from the global south. So, everyone's not a white man. We're white men. What have they got to contribute? Scotland is a world leader in innovation, particularly in offshore and onshore wind. Through our updated climate change plan, we've set out an ambitious package of policies and proposals to continue reducing emissions across all sectors. As set out in our vision for trade, etc., we will ensure that trade and investment is used as a lever to progress towards our net zero targets, while developing Scotland's competitive advantage in areas with positive environmental and economic impact. To help deliver the Scotland's trade support will be provided to businesses who align with our climate priorities. Fucking climate priorities, man. And then, there we go again. As our outward-looking country, we are committed to working in partnership with other governments and using our network to raise ambition and push for greater action. The cringe. I mean, I want to laugh because it sounds so pathetic, but at the end of the day, I mean, this is malevolence, clear as day. Subversion, bullshit. Being scammed. Absolutely scammed. Fucking hell, net zero. It's just a fucking pipe dream. Human rights. This was talked about in the Parliament earlier on. One of the feminists, I actually clipped that on my Telegram channel. One of the feminists is talking about we're going to be one of the world's first to implement all these brand spanking new human rights laws, right? Making out that this is something that we created ourselves. No, it's United Nations charters. It's United Nations fucking charters. So it's just like, I don't know what they're talking about. So it's always United Nations charters. We can't look like we can be able to create our own human rights laws. I mean, for fuck's sake. But anyway, says here, I've got a text I need to respond to as well. Where is it, fuck's sake? With our legal tradition developed over centuries, we are a country with a long history of respect for the law. This is important in ensuring Scotland is a fair and just nation, because everyone is entitled to basic rights and freedoms. Okay. We will also continue to use our international engagement and dialogue as an opportunity to help increase respect for and understanding of human rights worldwide through sharing practical experiences of human rights approach to policy making and delivery. We will seek out opportunities to strengthen our international justice and law enforcement relationships in order to better combat criminality. We will focus our international partnerships with countries where we can have the greatest impact on improving human rights and on initiatives which support the realisation of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. I mean, they don't even hide it anymore. They just talk about it so freely at this point. I suppose they don't need to hide it. Half of the people in Scotland don't even pay any attention to it anyway. Half of the people in Scotland don't even know that they exist. The goals exist. The agenda exists. Never heard it. All they hear is independence. East the squeeze. That's all they need to hear. And they'll conform. They'll go out and vote. That's the way it rolls, seemingly, sadly. Where else have we got? Respect for human rights and rule of law are fundamental to our engagement with all states, especially those with whom we have concerns over human rights or rules of law abuse. We welcome international scrutiny of our human rights record. We will always engage with the United Nations and other international human rights monitoring schemes. Of course, we'll always engage with the United Nations because Didlips has got this perpetual obsession to bootlick them, metaphorically speaking. Is there anything else of interest to read here? No, I don't know. Probably not. More cringe, probably. Multilateral organizations provide the frameworks to promote and protect human rights, democracy, security, and the rule of law globally. Well, you heard it here, folks. We need to be part of multilateral organizations because that's the way forward. Yes, fuck independence. Let's just give all away. Let's just be controlled. Let's just join our cabal. We will continue supporting efforts to ensure appropriate representation and diversity of input, including by the global south and civil society for an international system that works for all. Is that right? Yeah, New World Order coming soon. The role of our network. I'm not going to bore everybody with that shit because I don't give a shit. You shouldn't give a shit. It's just flexing their muscles, so to speak. The culture one. Here we go again. Scotland benefits from a strong global identity. A global identity. And I wonder what our global identity. Now, naturally, I would have thought the first thing that springs to mind when you hear the term global identity, not that it's a term I've ever really heard of before, I would have thought of a national identity, same sort of principle. But no. Apparently, this global identity is fundamental to this, is our diverse culture. Yeah, our diverse culture. There's no longer is it a Scottish culture. It's a diverse culture, which is inspired and celebrated by people around the world. Oh, fuck me. And it's a powerful tool for building bridges between people and reinforcing mutual understanding. It can also be an engine for economic and social development. Our distinctive culture contributes to Scotland's positive international reputation as an open, creative, welcoming and confident nation. We will build on our strong international cultural offer through a cultural diplomacy strategy. Oh, so many strategies. So much strategizing. The strategy will set out how we will assist the recovery of the cultural sector from the pandemic. Right? Okay, no one cares. In delivering Scotland's cultural strategy, we will continue to enhance international profile, reputation, and attractiveness as a tourist destination by promoting our world-leading festivals to international tourists, etc. In light of the coup and to help fulfil the legacy of COP, we will explore digital and hybrid opportunities. We will also continue to support the development of skills, facilities, and opportunities for Scotland's green sector, which will underpin inward investment as well as the sector's sustainable growth. Oh, wow. Scotland is respected as a country with a long history. Not even that cares. Next steps. Well, they say that they are in our international work seeks to mirror our domestic priorities and values, whether by empowering women and girls through our international development efforts, connecting a global community of people with an affinity to Scotland who will help to raise the country's international reputation, or contributing to the international body of expertise, is how to address the child poverty. Whilst we have established programmes and initiatives in these many areas, the contribution that Scotland could make and benefits it could receive would be significantly enhanced with the powers of independence. The government's perspectives for enhanced international relations as an independent state will be published in the run-up to the non-existent referendum. So there's that. I think that's the end of it. Yes, it is. So I'll play those two clips. One of them is about 3 minutes, and the other one's like fucking not that long. I cut it too quickly, but you'll get the point here, and then I'll move on to the other thing I wanted to kind of go over before I bag it off. There was one thing that they brought up, and I thought they were going to use it as a means to talk about, like a thing I've suggested before when it comes to our aging population or declining birth rates. Quite a few of them in the Parliament today made reference to the fact there's apparently around about 40-odd million, estimated 40-odd million people out there that are considered Scottish diaspora. Right? That's a hell of a lot of people. I thought they were then going to talk about initiatives that could be suggested to potentially attract some of them back here to help with our aging population, since they're so obsessed with the concept of immigration. They just want to use that as a means to promote cultural ties, etc., etc. What the fuck? That's a wasted opportunity, but whatever. Each to their own, I guess. But just yes. Let's get these clips up. It's just here we go. That is, I don't know where they got that figure from though, but that's quite a lot of people. Around about 40-odd million. I think that was it was like 28, 20. What was it they said? I think it was like 28 to 29. And that's a conservative estimate. And then the other one's 40 million. Still, a lot of people. Even if it's the conservative estimate, it's a lot of people. But then I wondered to myself, though, are we talking about like Rwandans that have moved here, who claim Scottish heritage, or Graham Campbell who claims his granddad was Scottish? Oh yeah, I'm sure your granddad was Scottish, pal. Sure fucking was it. Back off, Graham. There's Lark going. Where's my? Yeah, there's the. I thought I'd ended the stream by mistake. Jesus Christ! I hate doing that as well. Right, smart screen again. See this. I have to say this as a Highlander. I completely disavow this Highland woman. Right? Okay. It's not often I say that. I'm on the Highlanders, but in this instance, I disavow this Highland woman. That's all I'm saying. It's nothing to do with me. The onus is not on me. Right? Okay.
From the strong but touching remarks the Cabinet Secretary has made in explicit support of our European neighbours in Ukraine, to the First Minister's repeated, unequivocal support for New Scots here and for women and girls across the world, it is one of those issues where we can see real leadership being shown within the constraints of devolution and indeed despite them. Our First Minister is a UN Global Women Advocate. And I don't think that was supposed to happen. I think Scotland was meant to stay in its box there, but our re-devolved government has gained global influence and global respect. So what I'm seeing here is not just leadership of a government and a party, but global leadership. It's not just whiskey we're putting out there, although I don't underestimate or underappreciate that particular export. We are seeking to become the first country in the UK to adopt a feminist foreign policy. We know that climate change, wars and unstable economies are gendered issues. Women and girls are worst affected. Feminist foreign policy was not a term that I had ever heard growing up, but it is absolutely needed, and it's commendable that the Scottish Government is taking this forward as a pioneer within the UK. We don't just have a presence on the world stage now, but an influence. World-leading human rights legislation is being taken forward in here against racial discrimination, discrimination against women, and to improve the rights of disabled people.
Yeah, you get the point. It's the United Nations charters, so them including the UNCRC as well, will have adopted pretty much every single charter going. So that's great. That's great. And then this one here.
Presiding Officer, Scotland is a nation with a strong European heritage outlook and values. People voted overwhelmingly to remain in the EU in 2016 and, of course, subsequently in every election following have endorsed the pro-European SNP. The committee report acknowledges the Scottish Government's position that the founding values of the EU, human dignity, freedom, democracy, equality, the rule of law and respect for human rights, are the Scottish Government's values. The publication of the Global Affairs Framework sets out with clarity the values and principles underpinning the Scottish Government's international work. I agree with the Cabinet Secretary that it's important to note that the Scottish Government's Global Affairs Framework is being published at a time when, in the face of the invasion of Ukraine, all nations are being tested on whether they support not just the principle, but the reality of adopting a rules-based approach to protect their values. As the new Global Affairs Framework sets out, and consistent with the evidence given to the committee inquiry, Scotland's international work will be guided by some key areas of focus: good global citizenship, maintaining the closest possible relationship with the European Union, gender equality, climate crisis and climate justice, respect for human rights and the rule of law, the role of our international networks, and
Yeah. So that's pretty much, they were just reaffirming what I was saying, and it was very tedious to listen to, especially when Angus Roberts had made his appearance. There's something not right with that man. I haven't actually used Google yet to figure out or find out if he's gay, but I'm borderline convinced he's a bender. He's got to be a bit of a bender, like, in order to talk the way that he talks about the EU. It's just weird. But aye. So there's that. See what's what. Down here. Men die in war. I don't know if you've seen with Sturgeon and whatnot, like International Women's Day, all the feminists in Parliament, one after the other, and they all at the start of their speech before they whined about the non-existent misogyny in Scotland, it's like they were all sending their condolences and their best wishes to the brave women and girls of Ukraine. It's like, what the fuck? What about the men and the boys that can't leave the country? What the fuck? That's very bizarre. But that's what they all did. Parliament's a joke. Do they need every question? I've heard that, aye, but especially when it comes to Thin Lips, but I've seen the same sort of thing take place down in Westminster, so I don't know really what the ins and outs are. But I did see there was a guy, I can't remember what's his name, Stephen something from the Tory party. He's a bit of a fat guy. Is it Stephen something? This was a while ago. Like I never thought to clip it, but he asked a question, and he was fucking raging. He asked a question to the convener about when are we going to drop this policy of having to ask pre. How did he word it? I can't remember how he worded it exactly, but what he was meaning was that they were asking questions that Sturgeon was privy to already, so she had all the answers. You know, so like he was getting a bit fed up with it. So obviously there must have been a period of time where that wasn't the case, because of how he worded it suggested that this was a policy that had been implemented at some point as opposed to always being the norm. But have we got any human rights? Well, there's the we got the fucking. I know what you mean though. Like no, like no, but I think there's the European human rights laws. I think we still abide by and whatnot. But I even think the whole notion of human rights laws, by and large, are just especially when it comes to the children aspect. I think it's daft. You don't need the United Nations to tell children that they got a right to play, for example. That's one. But one of the many malevolent rights that children will have when that is eventually enshrined in law. But I just see it as a red herring. It's just a means to supersede Scottish law with fucking United Nations law. So, by and large, when they bring in these new ones, these new charters, it's like additional anti-discrimination laws. So it's even more to pander to BAMEs, black people, even more to pander to women. There's another one of the other charters is for disabled people, to protect them, so they'll get additional rights on top of the rights they've already got. I got no issue with that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, fucking disabled people, they should be sort of catered for in society. It's not their fault that they're disabled, etc. I've got no issue with that. But I think when they start to lump them into the same category as blacks, as if they're both equally hard done by, get it. Like, and then the other one is elderly people, naturally pensioners, and I think everything should be done to protect them. Like, they've done their time, they paid into the system, etc. So fucking right, they should be protected. But again, the same is not true for women and blacks. It's just daft. Or browns or BAMEs, whatever. I can't stand it. Just they attribute them all as marginalised. Every group's marginalised and hard done by in society by white men. You know what I mean? And then you just look at all the issues across society. It's mainly affecting white men: suicides, drug deaths, alcohol deaths, homelessness, fucking you name it. Dropping out of school early, failing in school, mental health crisis. All these issues affect mainly white men. And we fucking talk about it. No, because we're the oppressor, eh? Fucking joke, man. Anyway, I've got I didn't realise the time, got to head out soon, like, so I'm gonna have to pick now out of the two because I had two other things to talk about, but I'm gonna have to pick one now. That's no good, like, can't rush me. But I should probably do this shit because this is coming up. So obviously, what took place in Edinburgh the other day with the wankers coming out to stop the Home Office from detaining two individuals who apparently were on immigration bail, whatever the hell that means. They breached the laws, so they've got every right to be booted out of the country. But I found it very strange timing, given the fact that we're just on the verge of the anniversary of Kenmure Street from last year in Glasgow, right? And I've seen this on Twitter from anti-racists from Scotland. This shit. Kenmure Street Festival of Resistance is this week, and yeah, there's genuinely a Festival of Resistance coming up. In fact, I've got that on my chat, Telegram as well. Type in Kenmure quickly, like. Wait, and you got Marshall. Yeah, no, it should come up like. Is that there? Aye. This is just ridiculous nonsense. Like,
hi, my name is Tab, and I was one of 2,000 people who stood right here in Kenmure Street to stop the deportation of two of our neighbours. The Home Office quietly reintroduced their strategy of dawn raids during the pandemic to remove people from their homes. The chain of events created by the solidarity of activists, residents, lawyers, and everyone who showed up led to the two men being released 8 hours later. This is the only time a dawn raid has been successfully stopped. For most people, this was the first time they were at a protest, but also achieved what they had hoped for. By the next day, this had become international news. and inspired millions to believe that our immigration policies are unjust and racist.
Oh yeah, so racist because they were going to deport two people that had outstayed their welcome by a large degree. You know, they tried to reapply or extend their stay. They were rejected, and they chose to stay anyway. That's making them illegal immigrants in the country. And then they were supposedly going to get detained and then booted out. That's somehow unjust and racist. I mean,
there hasn't been a dawn raid in this community since. Despite our success, there hasn't been any tangible reform in ensuring that people are treated with dignity. We are all coming together for the Festival of Resistance to celebrate and build on what we achieved that day. On the exact time the men were released, we will have a sit-down in Kenmure Street to re-share that moment together. On Saturday, the whole street will be closed and decorated in a way that reflects the rich diversity of this community. We need your warmth and your support to bring this to life. Please share and support this crowdfunder. If you weren't there on the day, this is your chance to relive that moment. Thank you.
The Festival of Resistance. I mean, it's just ridiculous. So this tweet here says the Kenmure Street Festival of Resistance is this week. Right? Here is the programme. The victory in Nicholson Square, Edinburgh, reminds us that Kenmure Street isn't something to celebrate. It isn't just something to celebrate, sorry. It's a model of how we defeat the Home Office and end the hostile environment. You know, the so-called hostile environment. These fucking retards, they never acknowledge the amount of legal immigration that comes into the country year on year. You know, 700,000 plus in 2020, I think. It was either that or 2021. That's fine. Then we can talk about all the BAMEs that are all up and down the country in hotels. Don't talk about that either. Now, they'll solely focus on the Home Office doing their job for once, and it's a rarity to see that, you know, to be honest. But they went to take two people out of the country who, for whatever reason, had breached immigration rules. I don't know, outstayed their welcome, whatever it was, and they were going to be deported, presumably deported. We don't know. It's not been elaborated on whether or not they would have been deported. But that somehow has brought out all these little dickheads with their placards, and they've all created a resistance, the Edinburgh front of the resistance. And I mean, this nonsense here. So, oh Jesus! And some of the speakers down the bottom as well. So they've got the whole lineup for the day's events at the festival. So you know, baby, you can go to that. I suppose you know you'll be nearby. I assume you can go and say hello to the bench. Yeah, you know. So they've got the street canvas shite. Come along and create banners and street pavement artwork, art welcoming refugees. Okay, and then they've got the Bowling Green banner making session with a Pollock Shields Development Agency. We're going to create banners and artwork to decorate the bus stop on Kenmure Street, which became a focal point on the day. Then they are going to have a street canvas. Come along and create banners and street pavement art welcoming refugees. Then on Friday, so that was Thursday, Friday at 5 p.m., 5:30, sorry, there's going to be a silent vigil where protests will take place in the anniversary of the victory. Oh, it's a victory, apparently, because they prevented two Indian men from being deported. Such a fucking victorious feat. And then they're going to say here that Pinar Aksu, very Scottish, of course, from the Maryhill Integration Network will introduce the vigil. Sounds riveting. Then they're going to have a symbolic peace tree planting and will take place after a short walk from Kenmure Street, led by Urban Roots. Then on Saturday, they're going to have a shoot to root workshop with Martha Urbach for the Glasgow Seed Library. And get this, it's going to be anti-colonial activism through gardening. Fucking what the fuck's that like? You know what I mean? Anti-colonial activism through gardening. You're only sticking it to the white man planting some fucking carrots, are you? Jesus Christ. Oh my God. Anti-colonial gardening, like, oh, Jesus Christ. And then, of course, they're going to have Kenmure Street will be full of pro-refugee and migrant support stalls by local and national organisations. You know, maybe you can get some cookbooks on how to be an anti-colonial gardener. And then there'll be a talk and discussion. That'll be good. By Pollock Shields Food Point on psychologically informed environments versus hostile environments. Don't have a clue what the format is, but rest assured, it's some made-up term. Then they're going to have the music. This is where things get popping. You know what I mean? Yeah. Oh wow! And they're going to have some fantastic speakers here. You know, the soy. The soy is going to be in all of that. Fucking I'm not talking about it anyway. Music. No, I don't care about these people. But then it says here the speakers include Sabir Zazi from the Scottish Refugee Council, Alison Thulis, the SNP feminist non-entity, who looks like a man, by the way. She pissed me off the other in the run up to the elections, talking about oh, the Glasgow candidates are so diverse. Yeah, and then she used that really irritating phrase that she's so used to seeing it as, what was it, pale, male, and stale. I was like, just go fuck off, you fucking short-haired clown. You know what I mean? Drop you and slap bang in the middle of Somalia and see what happens to you. You know what I mean? Don't know you're living it. And then they've got Patrick Harvey. That's great. He's gonna probably talk to them about climate justice. He'll want them to embarrass them. Well, like you said to the children, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I want you to embarrass me. Fucking Jesus. And then we're going to have Aman Anwar, the human rights lawyer who professes that everything's racist in Scotland. So that'll be fun. Mohammed Asif from Afghan Human Rights Foundation. Tabassuma Nayamet from the Pollock Shields Trust. And then there's a few others. One from Refugee. Then we're going to have Paul Sweeney, the fucking absolute dickhead. He's a proper gimp, him. Like, I don't like him at all. Then there's going to be free food provided, kindly, and this will be from anti-racist cooks or colonial cooks. Halal probably, though. There'll be tea and coffee from Zaya Ul Quran at the bus stop. That'll be fun. Go to the bus stop, get some tea and coffee. Oh, it sounds like a great day out, does it not? Oh, let's come over here and we'll have some anti-colonial gardening, and then we'll go to the bus stop and we'll have some cake, and then we'll go over to the street corner and we'll do this. It's like fuck, like. And then there'll be a village storytelling centre where sharing folk tales about resistance and the power of people to come together and challenge the status quo. Fuck, man. Oh, Jesus Christ. It's not finished though. There's more. Of course there's more. There's always more. It wouldn't be a festival without a second page. Oh, no. There'll be a memory table, so that'll be fun. I know, Dave, you're really excited if you're still listening. You're probably already making plans with the boys to go along, yeah? And I would suggest if you're going to go, you should probably make plans to go at 2 to 4 at Maxwell Park for some sunflower seed planting. I mean, that'll be fun. That'll probably be anti-colonial sunflower seed planting. There's a difference, So sunflower seed planting. Why the fuck would anybody go plant sunflower seed? Okay. Freedom from Torture has taken a human library approach to hold a community discussion through experienced stories of individuals who were victims of torture. Then we're going to have the Bowling Green again. So we're going back and forth quite a lot. It sounds really fun and inventive. And then it finishes off with the Celebrating Diversity in Music Dance event led by the Pollock Shields Trust. And that sounds like a great day out. I might have to drive down for the occasion. That's if Susan Aitken doesn't decide to charge me for my diesel car. I don't know. Don't know how it operates down there these days. But so there's that. Oof. There's that. But by and large, I'm still not entirely convinced that there wasn't a bit of tomfoolery at play regarding that event in Edinburgh. Just strange timing, if you ask me. But the way that it was phrased all over Twitter, I don't know if I can get one of the hashtags up. They were so fucking cringy. And obviously I covered them in the video that I made on it at the time the other day, but seeing some of them, I don't know if I'll be able to get it from here. It was just like some of the stuff that they're saying, these people genuinely think that there's some sort of resistance front. It's pathetic. At the end of the day, if the system wanted these individuals gone, they'd be gone. And they seem to be so oblivious, either deliberately or ignorantly, oblivious to the fact that the system is importing many more BAMEs than they ever boot out. So don't really know what system they're, supposedly fighting, so to speak. But saying no to the Rwanda plan, no, it's not that. But that was a point I made at the end of my video, though, because when you hear these terms, that they always use these terms like, we treat them with dignity and respect. Everybody's welcome here. We don't agree with these policies. Who else says shit like that? Well, the SNP says shit like that. And by and large, it plays into the idea, of course, if they had control over immigration or asylum policy, what would an asylum policy based on dignity and respect look like? What would an immigration system that's based on fairness and compassion look like? Because that's the sort of tropes that they're all using. So to me, it looks as if these individuals are nothing short of Green and SNP activists. Did you not notice as well that during the events that took place in Edinburgh the other day, there was an overhanging silence, really, from the SNP higher-ups. Nobody really talked about it, which I found very bizarre in and of itself. Come on, give me some hashtags like, I don't know, I might have gone too far. Fuck it, man. Have I got anything else up about it? Racist? No. What's this? Oh, yeah, there was the article regarding it. This came out today. So I think what's this? Festival to mark the anniversary of Kenry Street. Protest is blocking the Home Office van. So this gives us a bit more insight into the event in question. Fucking Jesus. I remember that taking place as it was going on. Like it was. I still think that there was something not quite right there. If you ask me, I think the whole thing was set up. It's very bizarre. And the fact that like there's only ever been one of these incidents that's repeated itself since, and it was the one in question in Edinburgh a year later to the date almost. It's just fucking weird. But anyway, the 2-day festival of resistance is set to take place on Friday and Saturday this week to mark the protest, alongside a silent vigil led by the campaigner Pinar Aksu, saying we want to remember the importance in the moment of solidarity from 2021 and say that refugees are welcome here. You know, I'm getting sick of this shit. You know, it's like who the fuck are you to say who's welcome and who's not welcome in our country? I know that that's the sort of thing that you would expect the SNP themselves to say, but the fact of the matter is it's not them saying it in this respect. It's her. You've got no right to come to my country and dictate who can and cannot come into the country. It really annoys me. Really annoys me. The event was described as never more important amid plans from the UK government to deport migrants deemed to have reached the country illegally to Rwanda. And again, there's this shock and awe factor. We all know, any of us with half a brain know that there's a lot of individuals that are deliberately fleecing the system, chancing their arm because it's a free-for-all. And when you've got leftist dickheads that are hell-bent on ensuring that anybody that ends up here anyway never leaves, and when they're all treated automatically as poor little traumatized refugees, of course there's going to be people coming here that are going to chance their arm. Why wouldn't they? Of course. But naturally, they're all fucking refugees, and it's abhorrent to assume otherwise. 1 year ago, people of Kenmure Street told the Home Office loud and clear that their inhumane tactics are not welcome. We cannot tolerate a society in which people seeking protection live in fear of experiencing a dawn raid in their own home. Well, they wouldn't have to experience a dawn raid, quote unquote, in their own home had they abided by the rules. You know, quite often there seems to be a tendency for these individuals where they continuously reappeal. If they have their claim rejected, they reappeal and they reappeal and they reappeal. And some of them tend to just drop off the map. And then when that happens, if they're found, well, that's when you're supposed to get deported. You're not going to get booted out of the country simply for being game, you know, despite their best efforts to tell you that is the case. They then say, oh, this simply isn't the kind of society people in Scotland want to live in. Again, no comment. The Home Office is now planning to use even more brutal tactics and deport people who are only looking to rebuild their lives in safety to Rwanda. Again, you're placing automatic assumptions on these people. You know, so every African that comes here pretending to be Syrian, we're just going to assume that he's Syrian because he said he's Syrian. He's over here to rebuild his life in safety because he's definitely fleeing war and persecution. Not just an African economic migrant, but because he's fleeing war and persecution, according to what he's told you, we have to run with that narrative. That is how fucking daft this is. That is what they do, essentially. And if we get this hypothetical, fair and dignified way of dealing with them, if the SNP get their way, rest assured you will never see a deportation again. Not that we see many of them anyway. It'll be followed by a day of speeches from speakers such as Anam Amwar, Alison Doulis, as well as Patrick Harvey and Paul Sweeney. It's been organised by local grassroots groups and charities. The manager of the Govan Hills Bath Community Trust, Fatima Ugnian, said, first and foremost, we want to really underline that no one is illegal. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, fucking early life check on this one. Like, let's have a wee go to their face, shall we? No one is illegal. Why the fucking are like? Who the fuck are you? Nah. What the fuck? Nah. Is that there? Is that? I don't know who this is. Is that her? I don't know. This Bing's probably not the best method of choice when it comes to image searching, but with a name like Fatima, I don't think that's fucking her. Like, nonetheless, no one's illegal. Ugh, I hate that trope. You know, that's one step away. I think it is her, you know. That is one step away from no borders, essentially. Again, it's the global citizenship nonsense. We're all one human race. No one is illegal. It's an invisible line. You can't dictate whether or not you're illegal. She's an anti-racist campaigner. Well, that goes without saying. You know. Refugees and asylum seekers deserve to be treated with dignity and the opportunity to achieve their full potential. You know, it's like if you're an asylum seeker, you're only here until your claim is rejected or accepted. It's as simple as that. So again, what do they mean by dignifying them? What do they mean by treating them with respect and dignity? Even though Glasgow is one of the largest refugee dispersal centres in the UK, the voices of people, especially the women, going through this process are largely unheard, silenced by a lack of resources support and a real fear of being subject to hostile and racist measures like dawn raids from the UK government. I mean, they just totally take reality and they completely contort it and pass it off as reality. You know, that's not what fucking happens. These dawn raids, not that they ever seem to occur very often, but when they do, it's people that are literally breaking the fucking law. They're not going to just go, oh, well, this woman's BAME, this woman's a refugee, let's just deport her for the crack, like, because we're racist. That's not what happens. Amid a massive demonstration, Police Scotland had released a statement saying the men would be released to protect public safety. One of the men who had been in the van spoke out at the time, saying he was astonished and overwhelmed by the support that he'd received. At around 9:30, immigration enforcement carried out a raid. We were taken to security in the van. There were only 5 or 6 people at the time, but word spread, and there were crowds of hundreds, endorsed by the SNP vehemently on Twitter at the time. I remember it well. But, you know, again, you know, they leave out why these people were detained in the first place. You know, they were like 6 months overdue, supposedly leaving the like they were told to fuck off like 6 months prior or something like that, but they were still here. I mean, who the fuck are you to just decide whether or not you're going to abide by our laws? You were given a right to remain for a time, then you tried to reapply. You were told no, and you chose to stay anyway. So don't be shocked when the system comes down on you. Simple. Well, you would think it'd be as simple as that, but so there's that fucking nonsense. You're going to have elected officials going to take part in some resistance festival to celebrate 2 Indian men not being deported on that current day. Notice that we never hear any more about them, so it makes you wonder what happened to them. Are they still here? I doubt it. They probably got booted out the next day if the event in question was legitimate. Difficult to say. So anyway, what else have I got? Curious at the time there because I do need to bugger off. I did want to go over this a bit, but the BAME teachers thing, I kind of needed to use that alongside the anti-racist videos, so that's a bit of a bummer. But by and large, like, I will get around to that at some point, definitely, because as I say, it's infuriating listening to these individuals talking. Where did it fucking go? Go away. Where did it go? Like, too many tabs. Oh, these individuals complaining about growing up, being surrounded by whites. You know, it really annoys me. I mean, that's not our fault. And then what was it? They started making references to they sort of adopted this. They adopted whiteness. You know, they felt compelled to adopt the white majority. You know, their identity, whiteness. It's like. It's as if that's a phenomenon that would that would only ever happen here. If you move to a Muslim, let's just hypothesize, and you move to a Muslim country, and you were in as a young kid or whatever, and you were in a class full of Muslims, stands to reason you would start to adopt the majority culture or the way of life in the classroom, etc. It's not fucking whiteness that's the problem. It's not whiteness is at fault. Of course, it's the overhanging issue of our time, according to these individuals. But I mean, I can put it in the chat if anybody wishes to go and watch it themselves. Like, but don't be leaving any dodgy comments, because the last thing I need is for them to take the video down before I've done anything with it. Like, you know what I mean? But there's that there. If you wish to have a wee gander, 7 people. I know. I always get upset when that happens. People get sick listening to my fucking voice. I'm not Clive Chance, you know, the Highland Warrior. He doesn't have the dulcet Ouija tones. People just can't stand it. It's difficult, I know. I haven't listened to any of this shit. I'm not sure if it's just based in Scotland or not, but some of them are. These two, this one here, that's the woman that has created the racial literacy program. I posted a video on my YouTube earlier on. People probably seen that. But I'm just going to test this in real time before I go. If this is all Scottish based, let's go to fucking the Chinese guy with the bowl cut. Yeah, is this Scottish? Or is it not? Come on. It is too. Fucking hell.
Hello, my name is Xingye Song. I'm from China and my major is CEID. Before studying at Murray House, I was a teacher working in one of China's most important education and training institutes.
That's not it.
such as anthropology.
I don't care. Okay, so well, at least at the very bare minimum, it's not all anti-racist nonsense. That's a plus, I suppose. Oh, Jesus Christ. That's fine. It's fine. Fuck it. Right. Oh, well, I think that'll have to leave it at that then, folks, because I need to go. I need to go out. I need to go out in house and do something very quickly. Pissed off at that. I should have started earlier. I'm going to go through this. Oh, what's that one though? For a go. Oh, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Right, sound. Aye. And there's something for you to look into. Scott Deck, if you've got some spare time. One of the many examples of anti-racist anti-racist sort of organisations that promote materials for schools, global citizenship right here. They got anti-racism. They've got sustainable development, education, etc. This is all stuff that's implemented into Scottish schools, right under the noses of all of our parents. Well, the only thing I can thank my ex for is she would never allow our wee boy to be taught this shit. So there is always a saving grace, I guess. But on that note, aye, sweaty dogs for sticking around, eh? But aye, I'm going to have to go before. Just remember, folks, to ease the squeeze and tune in tomorrow night, and I'll be doing an exclusive live stream about anti-colonial potato planting. That'll be fun. I can't believe that's the thing. Fucking wow. Oh, Jesus, seed planting. Oh, fuck's sake. Some things never change. But on that note, 10 people now, Jesus, the numbers start to go up as I'm about to leave. I'm not great with the goodbyes, but on that note, don't do anything I wouldn't do. See you later, guys. And presumably girls, sometime soon. Later on. Damn. Fucking end broadcast, you dick.